We need to talk about whether or not Emily is going to cover the Brian Walshe case. Look, I've told y'all we would keep an eye on it. I've told y'all I wasn't sure how the timing was going to work out. And I told y'all I wasn't sure if this was going to go to trial when it's supposed to go to trial at the end of this month. Well, guess what? It's not going to trial at the end of this month. We can put a pin in it for a while and we can decide later. But I wanted to explain what this means because I've gotten a lot of question about whether or not this trial is going to go and what's going to happen. So Brian Walshe's trial for the murder of his wife postponed in wake of jail attack. Brian Walshe is accused of murdering his wife. We have not gotten into the facts of the case. We have gotten deep into the discovery of it all because this is another Proctor problem case. And that's why we've talked about it. We have not talked about the charges. We haven't talked about the investigation outside of discovery. We'll see when we get into it, but I wanted to answer some of these questions. Less than 1 month before Brian Walshe was due to go to trial for the murder and dismemberment of his wife. Look, this is another one of those Google search cases. A judge ordered that he undergo a mental health evaluation and the trial was postponed. The judge issued an order for a competency examination on Monday. The court did not release a copy of the order citing medical records. Yeah, it's a competency evaluation. We went through what a competency evaluation means when we talk about the Tom Girardi case. The title of the order cites a state law that allows the court to order an examination whenever a court of competent jurisdiction doubts whether a defendant in a criminal case is competent to stand trial or is criminally responsible by reason of mental illness or mental defect. Oftentimes, the defense attorneys will ask for this and say, I've been meeting with my client. I have a doubt. We have some problems. We need an evaluation. The final pretrial hearing was scheduled for Tuesday. That was yesterday, October 7th. It was rescheduled for another competency hearing for October 27th. They may not have the report back by then. So they might have to set it out again, but the trial was supposed to start October 20th. If there's a question about whether he can do it, it can make the entire trial invalid or create an appellate issue, says the attorney that the news asked about it. Trial was supposed to start October 20th. It's being rescheduled. There's no trial date now. So again, on a quick summary of the case from the news media, he faces charges of murder, misleading a police investigation, improper conveyance of a human body. His wife, Ann Walshe, a 39-year-old mother of 3 from Cohasset, went missing around New Year's Day, 2023. Prosecutors believe he killed and dismembered her before disposing of the body. Defense attorney Larry Tipton said in court that Brian Walshe's mental and physical health has declined since he was attacked in jail last month and is not well enough to participate in the preparation for his trial. The quote from the defense attorney is, the defendant has made progress, but both mental and physical effects of the violent assault have continued to prevent him from being able to adequately participate in preparing his defense. He's made great effort to do so, but at this time it is evident that the trauma resulting from the unexpected and sudden attack continues to significantly impact his ability to work with his attorneys in a manner required as his complex trial approaches. So they're going to send him out for an evaluation. They are going to need at least 20 days for an evaluation. Then they're going to need time to get that report back. The media continues, and this is WCVB. The competency hearing was one of several new elements added to the docket Monday. That was this Monday, October 6th. Others include a series of responses from the prosecution to recent motions submitted, which are needed because there are still issues regarding discovery. And the other docketed items includes a response to Brian Walshe's request that the judge prohibit testimony alleging he knew about his wife's extramarital affair prior to January 1st, 2023. Is that part of what drove his rage? According to the response, the prosecution expects to present evidence that will, quote, permit a reasonable inference about his knowledge, but does not intend to ask any witness that question directly. The prosecution emphasizes that they do plan to introduce that a private investigator was hired to look into Anna's infidelity. Sir, fucking miss me. If you hired a PI to follow your spouse to see if they're cheating, what you don't get to do is go to court and be like, I had no idea. Miss me. Prosecutors also responded to a request that the judge prohibited information about Brian Walshe's prior legal and criminal trouble. I'm interested to know more about his federal art fraud case. We haven't gone over the background of this case. We will at some point. Do we have a money laundering situation with the art fraud? Because art fraud is often money laundering. I'm curious. So when we go over this, part of what we will talk about is that federal art fraud case, and if this is part of what was this the tipping point that went down the rabbit hole here? So when we are looking at the Brian Walshe case, it is going to get set out for probably months and months, but we might have some resolution with Proctor before that. Custodial settings should be safe. They are not always safe. People do get shanked in prison. Should they? No. Do they? Yes. Most, once they are patched up, continue to go to trial. I think the YSL case, one of the defendants had gotten attacked in prison and was in the hospital for multiple weeks and was like 2 days out of the hospital and back in court. It was wild. But he has recovered. He is going to need to move forward with trial. But this delay of the trial might also help the defense attorneys in their fight to get the Proctor text messages. And at this point, if the court is like, look, if you need more time, you need more time, it's frustrating for the prosecution. I gotta be honest, I give a lot of prosecutions the benefit of the doubt until my trust is burned and then you're dead to me. I don't have a lot of empathy for the prosecutor's office in Massachusetts. It's frustrating when a trial like this gets postponed. But you know what's more frustrating? Not having discovery turned over. So like, too bad, so sad. It's gonna be frustrating for them if the defense needs to postpone this and get their discovery, and this is the reason why. I mean, fine. It's real annoying for the prosecutor's office, but like, deal with it. Look, Tom Girardi was found competent. I would be shocked if Brian Walshe was not found competent to stand trial. However, if there is something that is at the moment has shifted the way that Brian Walshe is able to help his attorneys, that's something that can pass. They might give him time. So it might just be he needs another 2 or 3 months and the court will do that. But I don't think this is going to be a situation where he's declared not competent to stand trial and then he never goes to trial. That's not his circumstance. This is a temporary blip, if they even find that, because the level for competency is incredibly low. And then when they're talking about whether or not he was able to perceive the crime when he was committing the crime, that's a totally different conversation. And even when we were looking at a case like the Shabusiness case, she was still found to not be acting under mental disease or defect. So those cases are rare. Competency is, can you help your attorneys? And it might be that he's under so much stress because of this attack that he can't for the next 3 weeks. Okay, fine, then they'll continue it. So we'll see. But this can be something that can be restored. So even if he is found not competent currently to stand trial, which I think we'll see. But even if that is found, it's something that can be restored. So it would be a matter of how much time. It's not a matter of Brian Walshe is not going to trial. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Laundered app at launderedapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.